This chap's in charge. He's our director for the evening. I've got this picture now. Oh, yeah, it's going to sort it. Sorry, is it alright to get you on? You don't know this? Cool, I won't do anything. This is Nigel's first ever win. Never done one? No, never. So Chris, we're going to open on a close. We're going to open on a close-up. We're going to open on Emma's going to be stood down here, so we'll just open on like a close-up her as she does her introduction. Yeah, she's going to be like kind of like this. Oh, those lights are bright. If anything comes in, he'll manage to be. I know. That's ridiculous. He deserves to be started. Exactly, your fault. So yeah, Chris, I just think like obviously, whenever the Emma's she's not covered very well by the actual camera. Yeah, and then but then when someone else starts doing something, you can switch to that. Let Emma start with. It's very relaxed. Yeah. Closer to the stage. Yeah, brilliant. We still need to start like on a clean here, so like that. Alright, so you don't want to see the camera? No, the opening shot is just Emma, and then the wide's getting everyone. So she stands where you are. Okay, so we're starting on close of Emma to intro.
I need a microphone, right?
You do. Can we have mic?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about the ground and how much rain there's been and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
So that's how we're going to start. I'm going to introduce you.
Hello.
Not a big turnout of hunters, is it? All right, yeah.
Okay.
Just go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sydney Arms for our William Hill Cheltenham preview. It is now just 4 days till the festival. It's raining outside. I think it's going to be pretty soft on the first round, but we've got an unbelievable panel here to guide you through. Nigel Twiston-Davies, Tom Segal, Sir AP McCoy, Sam Twiston-Davies, and of course Oliver Sherwood on the end. Well, Nigel, I'm going to start with you because, of course, you trained just down the road. How much rain have you had? How much rain are we going to get? And what's the forecast?
Well, since that last dry spell, we've had 27 mils at my place, which is quite a bit, and it was raining as I left. I think it's going to be a bit dry now till Tuesday, when the latest weather forecast for around us is for at least 10, 11 mils, so it's quite a lot to come.
Tom, yourself and Nigel were comparing notes on the forecast, and if your forecasts were to be right, day one's not going to happen. It's going to be that windy at the moment.
I was at one the other night, and someone showed me this text saying that it's going to be the worst forecast, strongest winds all year on Tuesday, and that racing was in doubt, but that won't happen. They're always pessimistic about it. But yeah, the forecast is for soft ground, and I think it'll be testing on the first day.
Okay, well, let's get stuck into things. First race, day one. Nigel, it's simple, isn't it? You and Sam, win-win. I'll answer.
This is the idea, yeah. We're going to start with a bang, and then probably we'll all go home and give up.
Party for the rest of the week. That would be about right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's ask Tom here, because you'll have a view on this race. I think you were telling me you've done 10 Cheltenham previews, and you've probably heard about 1,000 different tips throughout the week. But Al Dancer, do you think he warrants his place at the top of the market?
Absolutely, absolutely he does. I love him. I think he'll drift on the day. I think he'll be a bigger price. I think you'll be able to get maybe 5 to 1 in the morning on the day. So if you want to back him, I'd wait until the day, because William Hill will push him out. They always do in the morning of the races. So if you want to back him, I wouldn't suggest backing him now, but I think he's got a great chance. I think he's got the best form. I think he's got Cheltenham form. He won't mind the ground. One reservation I've got him, and maybe Sam and Nigel will help me here. He might pull. He wears a hood, and he was a bit keen last time. I'm hoping that they go fast enough so he settles properly, because if he settles properly, I think he'll win.
Sam, you've been really bullish about him. I know you think things didn't pan out perfectly last time, and he won despite that. How's he been since, and are you full of hope?
Yeah, he did really well. I think actually the trainer would have won on the last day. He was so well in, but
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
he rode 19 winners. He rode 19 winners. He told me he was very good. So
He told you, yeah?
yeah, 19, not 90. No, he's at home. Jack Savage rides him every day. I haven't even sat on him since, but he's been working well. Everything's gone smooth. Obviously, a few days left between now and then, but I think the pace of the Supreme will really suit him a lot better. At the entry stage, you've got 3 or 4 confirmed front runners as it is, so obviously pace-wise he's going to be key to him. He should relax better, and he actually didn't pull too hard when he did run around Cheltenham before, and that day I did take the safe option and riding him 4th or 5th right down the middle, and he didn't pull too hard, so I wouldn't be too worried about that.
How will you be feeling as a jockey, first race, day one?
Well, it's a little bit different to previous years, obviously, because when you're riding for Paul, you've always got bits and pieces of a weekend to follow. This is like the one really good chance in one of the Grade 1 races, so have to go out, hope it goes smooth. You're hoping to get that little bit of luck on the way around. It'll be a max field, and just obviously you hope for a little bit of luck. It's the one race of my week which really feel has to go well, so a bit of luck, hopefully it does.
And what do you make of the race?
It's a very good Supreme Novice, as you'd expect. Al Dancer has got very good form. You know, won that race. You know, it's very good form from that race. You know, I rode a few horses that were placed in the Supreme that won big handicaps, like my 10 to yours. I thought was a certainty going there. I thought Get Me Out of Here would win too, and they got beat. He has got, you know, of what we've seen, he's probably achieved the most. He could win easily. Could win. I just like Nicky Henderson's Angel's Breath. I don't think we saw the best of him in Kempton. I think he learned from the experience there. He looks like he'll stay. The ground, I'd say, will definitely, be soft, good to soft. I think for a lot of reasons they'll want it like that. And I think he's the one they've got to beat. I think he's still got a lot of improvement in him. I don't think we saw the best of him. So I know that David Casey's quite sweet on Classical Dream, whatever race he goes for. But yeah, I think if I was picking one, I'd go for Angel's Breath. I know JP's got Fakadu Dari in there as well. He hasn't as much as said it, but if I was getting an impression, is he going to back him, I would say definitely not. But that's not to say that he can't win. He was quite impressive when he won in Cheltenham last time that he won. He's obviously a 4-year-old. He's getting an allowance, but he's not running in the Triumph for obvious reasons, because there's one better than him in it, I'd say. So, but yeah, Angel's Breath, I think, would be the one I'd take out of the Supreme.
I did a preview evening the other day with Nicky, and he was really sweet on the chances of Angel's Breath. He hasn't got the best record in this race. Was that a chat that you and Oliver were having earlier?
I was going to say that there's a lot of people that have lived on this planet in their lives, and not one of them has trained more losers in the Supreme Novices hurdle than Nicky Henderson.
I rode the best one.
Sprinter Sacra, Binocular, Darlan, Spouverdare, lots of champion. And he's had 2 winners, and one. There was 25 years between them. On what Angel's Breath's done, he's nowhere near as good as half the ones that he's got beaten in the race. I think he's a short price. I really do now. I think they overreacted to him after he got beaten at Kempton the other day and pushed him out to 12, 14 to 1 or whatever it is. I think they've overreacted again now. I don't think his form is anywhere near as good as Al Dancer's. But he's sort of the hype horse. We'll have a few of these as the week goes on, you know. And I get it. He might be a very good horse, but a lot better horses than him in the Henderson Yard have been beaten in this race.
Oliver, you hear the grass grow in Lambourne, and you're just a stone's throw from Nicky. Is the vibe quite good, or what do you like in this?
No, I'm a big fan of Sam's horse. The one thing I'd worry about Nicky's horse is whether he's streetwise. I don't think he's really sort of tough enough. I'm not saying tough enough coming up the hill. Sam's horse, he knows what time of day it is. He knows how to win the race. I was really impressed with him at Ascot. I personally think Sam could hardly hold him over the first 2 furlongs at Ascot. They'll go that bit quicker at Cheltenham. They always do in the Supreme. And I'm a big fan of his. There's one horse which hasn't been mentioned, which I really fancy each way, is Itchy Feet. Belongs to Andrew Brooks. He's 25 to 1. I think at that price, I think he's a cracking each way bet. Ollie Murphy's, I think it's right in saying it's his best chance of a win-stroke place at the festival. But I'll be a big fan of Al Dance. I can't see beyond him.
Rupert, let's bring you in now, because you can tell us about some offers on day one, and in fact what's been supported on this day, and in fact in this race.
Thanks for that. Yeah, so there's a price boost now, which, if anyone's watching, Bouverdare has been pushed out from 2 to 1 to 3 to 1. That'll finish in about 15 minutes. Maximum bet 50 quid, but well worth a go if you like it. As you say, Itchy Feet 25 to 1, very good each way price. In terms of what actually has been backed, it's all about Al Dancer. I think it's our 8th worst result of the whole festival, full stop. And you know, being a miserable bookie, that's one we probably would like to see beaten. But just this once, I'll let you in.
Okay, let's move on to the Arkle. Layla would be an extremely popular winner here, Tom. Has there been a buzz about this one?
Not for me, you wouldn't.
Not
No.
for you. Not for you. It'd be a great story.
Look, it would be a great story, but...
look, how long have you been in Ireland for?
I do too many. I do too many of these. I'm going to save the last day in a minute or whatever, in Cheltenham. He was very good at Cheltenham the first day, wasn't he, when he beat Dynamite Dollars and the other good horse, but he was not very good at Sandown, and I don't like horses coming into Cheltenham on the back of a poor run at 3 to 1 for an Arkle. It's just not for me. He wasn't a brilliant hurdler. He was a good hurdler. He wasn't a brilliant one. Now, I don't think it's the greatest Arkle, but I think in terms of prices, I think he's a bad price.
AP, what about Glenn Forcer? Because he's done nothing but improve. You wouldn't have thought he'd be dominating the betting a couple of months ago.
No, he won a handicap chase in Kempton off 128 over 2 miles 7. They drop back and trip. What he does is he jumps and he obviously stays very well. He was very impressive last time in Sandown. He beat Kalashnikov. He might have got a little flattered by beating Kalashnikov as easy as he did, because Kalashnikov never jumped. But he's improving. He's going the right way. There's a load of pace in the Arkle. Look, they obviously have to stay to win it every race, but he'll stay and he jumps. And if he looks the most solid proposition at the moment for me. So I'd go with Glenn Forcer.
Sam, if you could ride anything, what would it be?
I think
you can kind of look into this race many different angles, but I think the long and the short of it is Layla had like a really good experience around Sandown that day. That day he got beat. He had to jump at a proper pace. He got into an okay sort of rhythm, and I think he would have learnt a lot. Dickie went and sat on him at Kaylee Woolacott took him down to Hobbs's the other day, and he said he jumped really, really well. And we know with Dickie what to expect. He's going to go out and wear his heart on his sleeve and see how he goes. You got Glenn Forza and many other goes forward. Hopefully be following away, and I think he'd be the one most like to ride.
Okay. Oliver, you're never short of a view.
Firstly, AP, do we know if Dassault definitely runs in this or goes for the 2.5 mile race? Yeah, okay. Fair show. Glenn Forza is the best jumper. There's no doubt about it out of all the wheels, out of all the horses. So I would stick with him. It would be a great fairy tale story for Lalor to win, wouldn't it? I've just got to... I know we weren't impressed with Kalashnikov, but you don't become a bad horse overnight. And he was very good last year. Whether he just had an off day, I don't know. But it'd be great having Lalor and Kalashnikov coming over the last together. There'll be a lot of shouting. But as you said... Do
you think Kalashnikov's just better going left-handed?
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Good shout. I mean, ground is going to be an issue because we haven't really seen this ground, bar for the odd day. If we do get the soft ground, this dreadful weather, which Tom was talking about coming in on Tuesday.
Tom.
I'd love to know that betting is for William Hill whether the first day is actually going to happen.
It's still going to be happening.
Okay, cool. But no, Glenn Forza, you'd say he won a handicap at 120, off 120. I think he won a handicap of 116 at Chepstow at the beginning of the season. For suddenly now to be favourite for the Arkle, as you said, Tom, now it probably is a substandard Arkle, but you try winning an Arkle. They're always difficult, but Glenn Forza for me.
I think the point about this race, Emma, is that there's about 10 confirmed front runners, blasters. If you're Glenn Forza and you've been winning over 3 miles off 116, trying to keep up with Hart, he will never ever have been in a situation like this. Now he jumps really well. He jumped really well at Sandown. The time was nice, all that sort of stuff. But he was out in front on his own.
The time was nice.
But he was
You're
out in front on his own.
fluffy on us.
But he was out in front on his own, and he's going to be taken to a different place that he's ever been before. He might be up to it, but I don't know. I've never seen him. He's been going over those first two like he's never run that fast before. And if he can handle it, he's got a great chance because he's a brilliant jumper. I doubt it.
Nigel, should I be asking you this race, or should we move on to the Champion Hurdle?
Move swiftly on.
Move swiftly on. Bouverdere. Now, you've heard of this horse, haven't you? Can he make it 3 in the Champion Hurdle, do you think?
I'd have thought so, yeah. Yeah, and obviously it's a bit harder than last year because we haven't got the new one running. But but otherwise, yeah, he should be all right.
Okay. Tom, now I know you think differently, don't you? You're all over Apple's Jade.
Yeah, I like the mares.
Getting the allowance.
I do, yeah. I think this is a totally different proposition to he's had for the last 2 years. I think beating Mellon and just look at his form. Since he won the Champion Hurdle, he beat Sam
Go
Cohen.
on, tell us what you really think of Bouverdere. How good is he in your book?
Look, I'm going to get in trouble because I always get in trouble, but I grew up watching Istabrac and See You Then and all those horses, and they were sensational. Now, Bouverdere's very good, but he's in a pool of horses that isn't very good, and that's why he's won 2, in my opinion. You know, the pool of 2 mile hurdlers is not as strong now as it was 10 years ago. We buy chasing horses. We get horses that stay on the flat, go to Dubai or go to Australia. So we don't have the same pool of horses. So he's beating a weaker bunch, in my opinion. This year, he's got 2 mares that he's got to give £7 to that are a lot better than the horses he beat last year and the ones he beat the year before. Let's not forget, he could only finish 3rd in a Supreme. You know, he didn't win a Supreme. He's not he was never a wonder horse in his younger days. What he is a very solid, good horse that jumps very well, and he'll like the ground. So, of course, he can win. But I'd be a little bit disappointed if he won 3 Champion Hurdles because I'm an Istabrac man. And just to be in the same breath, I think it's a little bit unfair because I think that one stone's better than the other.
AP, I know Nicky thinks that he just wasn't right at all last year and he's back to his very best. What have you made of him this season?
I suppose that you could get yourself in trouble here by saying that, you know, mare's getting £7 off another horse. Is that fair when everyone's supposed to be equal nowadays? So, you know, I'm not sure about that. But anyway, you know, you got to stand up for the blokes, don't you? Like, you know, when they're.
Women's, exactly. International Women's Day today. Be careful.
I'm well aware it's National Women's Day. Is there such a thing as National Men's Day? Is there?
There is. is.
Huh?
There is.
That's every day.
There is, yeah.
All right, okay.
Every
day. Okay, right. Bouvier, I totally agree with Tom 100%. If Bouvier, even if he was to win 3 champion hurdles, I don't think, Esterbrak was an amazing horse, and I don't think, look, it'd be a phenomenal achievement if he could win 3 champion hurdles, but I don't think he's any Esterbrak by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of reasons that he could win. Apples Jade has no doubt put up the best 2 visual performances I've saw from a jumper this year in Leopardstown last time, and when she won the Hatton's Grace over 2.5 mile. Slight worry is that she's been to Cheltenham a couple of times. She's been to Cheltenham 3 times. She's got beat twice. She was beat very short odds on last year. She jumps a little bit to the right. It's different than going around Leopardstown. It's a much, even though the ground will be slower than it normally is, it's a much tighter track that's on the turn. If you lose half a length at each hurdle in Champion Hurdle, it's 4 lengths. And that's a lot. So there are reasons that I could be positive for Bouvier. Lorraine is obviously very highly thought of in the Willie Mullins camp, but for what she's achieved so far, you couldn't fancy her. I do think it's a match between Bouvier and Apples Jade, and just purely because she may be if she puts up the performance she put up in Leopardstown last time, yeah, sure, she'll take all, she is the one to beat, but the fact that she's been to Cheltenham 3 times and got beaten twice, would give me hope for Bouvier, so I think I'll stick with him.
And Sam, obviously, it's a real shame that we haven't got the new one. What do you make of this? Is this a pure match?
To try and big up with some of the others is quite difficult when you've got likes of Global Citizen in there and stuff. He looks like he wants a lot better ground. A lot of the others just don't look good enough. So effectively, you're looking at a 3-horse race. They're going to go forward, try and be positive on Apples Jade as they've done previously. You've got Global Citizen probably try and push her along. But I think, to me, it looks like Bouvier, he's solid. He's an 8-year-old. He's probably getting to the stage now in the prime of his life. He looks obviously very solid, and that he's gone there and done it before. He's very versatile ground-wise. I think if I had to pick one, he'd be the one you definitely want to be riding.
Echoing all their sentiments. It's very unusual I go against the girls, but I am going to stick with Bouvier. It's great. I think it's great for the game that we got 2 good girls going for the Champion Hurdle. But Bouvier, he's been there, done it. Stick to him.
Should it be equal? Should it be level weights, Oliver?
Definitely level weights.
Rupert, what's the market telling us?
Well, we've pretty well talked it through, as you say. Bouvier's 2-1, Apples Jade 9-4, Lorena 4-1, and if you fancy the each way on Global Citizen, as Sam mentioned, is 33-1.
Okay, well now we can talk about the girls. What about the mare's hurdle, Tom? I'm going to swiftly bypass Nigel because he's looking at me very vacantly. Tom.
The Mullins team has been telling everyone that they've got their best bet of the week, Benny de Dieu or whatever it is.
That's what Ruby's saying, isn't it? Best ride of the week.
Yeah, we haven't seen her for a year. She won it last year. She's clearly very good. The rain coming down has scuppered my bet. I backed a horse called Mia's Storm. She probably won't run now. There's a horse being supplemented in of Tom Lacey's called Just a Jet, who's not as good as Benny de Dieu, but she'll like the ground. She stays very well, and I thought at whatever price she is, with 16-1 with William Hills, I thought she was a good each-way bet in a race that doesn't have much strength in depth.
Okay, AP?
Look, the Mullins camp think that Benny de Dieu is their best chance of having a winner. I like one of Dan Skelton's. It was a little disappointing when she got beat last time in Newbury, but she...
Roxana.
Yeah, she was second to Santini in a 3-mile novice hurdle in soft ground at Aintree. I just think she could be capable of better. I do think Benny de Dieu will win, but if you're looking for one at a bit of a, I don't know what, she's 9-1 or 10-1 or something, one to chase Benny de Dieu home or give her a bit of a race, I think, if you look at the betting,
they're really keen. Harry Skelton is really keen on her chances. She was third to Bouvier on her only start this year, and he really bigged her up the other day. Yeah,
and if you look at the betting, it looks like Benny de Dieu's main dangers are, it could be Stormy Ireland or Limini or one of her own stablemates. So, of the ones at bigger price, I think Roxanne is the one.
Okay, Sam.
I think you just stick to Willie's. They all look very solid. Whichever ones he runs, obviously, Benny de Dieu just looks a good thing.
Would Lady Buttons go for this?
Possibly.
She's not useless. No. And she'll love the ground.
Trip and the ground?
Trip and ground.
Would be a bit of an issue for me, 2.5 miles if it got very soft.
Okay. There we go. Now, they're the main races of the day on day one. Is that... No, I'm not going to ask Nigel this. Anything else to throw into the mix in any of the other races?
Have you got any runners? Are there any other runners?
Yeah, we got the winner of the...
Sam, why are you covering your face over there? Like, why are you looking like that?
We got a horse called Flying Angel running in the 3 mile handicap chase. What's that called? What's the race called? Ultima. Flying Angel, he'll run really well. But, you know.
Come on, expand on that. Why is he going to run well? Are we advising people to back him each way? Or what do we think?
A little bit each way. Yeah.
Little bit each way.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a nice horse. He's come down the handicap massively all season, and I think he's turned a corner.
Okay.
There you go. You heard it here.
Sorry, Oliver?
He hasn't let himself go all season.
I think one of the key horses, Emma, is going to be OK Corral in the 4 miler. It's going to be one of the key betting races of the first day for me.
There's been lots of chat about him in the last couple of days.
I think the more of this weather, the less I fancy him. I think he's in the wrong race. I think he was very good at Warwick.
Can I stop you? And Oliver and yourself were having a chat about Nicky's stats in the longer races. Come on, tell us those.
What? Non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent.
Never won a national, any national. Sussex.
Oh, hang on, what's going on here? I'll walk down to you.
They've quietened you for a reason, Oliver.
He'll love you for this. Come on.
He's never won a national. Sussex, Midlands, any national. I don't think he hasn't won a race over 3.25 miles for many a year. I'm going to get murdered by Nicky. This goes back to Nicky. I'm going to be kicked out of the valley. He's got no idea. He hasn't got a clue.
Basically, just can't train anything beyond 3 miles.
He's got no idea how to train a staying chaser.
No,
that's what you're saying, Oliver? Well done.
I think
so OK Corral,
like, I get my coat.
We rest our case. He's got no chance.
Look, they're right. That's the only thing that was against him. He finished second in the Albert Bartlett last year. He's, it was a hard race. He finished in front of Ballyward, who were both going to be ridden by 2 of the best amateurs, with Patrick Mullins and him. Would you like to back against OK Corral? I'm not sure I'd like to back against him. I think a horse in the Close Brothers that has a bit of a chance. Don't know why it has cast the foray of Charlie Longsdon's. Beat Jerry's back one day and head up. It was a little bit disappointing the last time, but just a big price, he might have a chance. 20 to 1 or something. Yes.
And Sam, what else are you riding on the day?
Walt, who won what used to be the Racing Plus Chase, he's going to go in the novice handicap. But if you'd have told me after he won at Taunton he was going to go and win again, I'd have been amazed. So to think that he's obviously progressed to that, his confidence is sky high. But obviously Cheltenham, different kettle of fish again. But you never know, when a horse is on a roll, sometimes they're hard to stop. And
Oliver, you're flat out at Cheltenham this year, aren't you?
Zilch, don't be so rude. First time in 34 years, but anyway, there's nothing you can do. I'm a big OK Corral fan. I've been my nap for the meeting. I think there's been an ultimate plan all season with Derek O'Connor coming over for that race at Warwick. They had the race in mind. I'm sure you're right that they weren't expecting the ground to be soft. If it does turn up very soft, but to me, and he's very fragile. I think he's a very fragile horse to train. But he's my nap really. Certainly for the 4 miler.
He's my lay. I can't have him at all. I really think everything's against him.
Dangerous laying horses at that price.
What, 3 to 1? That'll do.
I thought he was slightly bigger than that. I thought he was slightly bigger than that. Sorry.
In a 4-mile
he
race
was
on
the
heavy
other day.
On heavy ground. I just think it's the wrong race for him. I like a horse in there. Stuart Edmonds trains a horse called Now McGinty, who is an absolute monster on heavy ground. If this rain comes, he was second in the Reynolds-Town the other day, over 3 miles. He will stay further. He's just out and out stayer. He loves soft ground. If he's anywhere near OK Corral turning for home, he'll beat him. Simple as that.
Okay, let's roll on to day 2, and we start with the Ballymore Novice Hurdle. Champ.
Champ.
Win or not?
Champ, I know a lot of people don't really fancy him. He's 4 from 4. A lot of things are against him. No 7-year-old, I think, has won the Ballymore. The winners of the Challow Hurdle don't have a great record in it, but he doesn't know that either. So, look, he's a very solid horse. He's got a rating of 152, and something is going to have to run to a higher level than that to beat him. What it'll be, I don't know. I'd be pretty sure the way he's He ran away in a handicap at Newbury off 138 and done well to win. And he backed it up by winning the Challow. Whether it was a good race or a bad race, who knows? But whatever beats him will have to run to a higher mark than 152 to beat him. Because I'm pretty sure that mark is what he is, and he might even be better.
So you've been really impressed by what he's done so far. Have you ridden him at home?
Not since I told him to buy him, I don't think, as a 3-year-old or whenever he was, a 4-year-old. So I think that's probably the last time I rode Champ. He was a bit slow to come to hand, and slightly worried that I might have got it wrong, but he's done all right to get as far as he's got, so it'd be nice if he won at the Cheltenham Festival. I think he deserves to be favourite, whether he wins or doesn't win, I don't know, but his form is solid. It's a very open race. I was impressed with City Island and Martin Brazel's, but needs to step up a lot. Battle of Dione over Dione is a huge big horse that they think a lot of, and as I said to you, I know that David Casey thinks a lot of Willie Mullins' Classic Dream, but just look, I said Champ he's got a rating of 152 and it's pretty solid.
What do you think of Champ?
I think he's. I agree. I think he's got potential to be a top horse. At the moment, I think he's got a bit to prove. I think the form of the Challow has worked out as bad as the Grade 1 has this year. The second, Cateson, was lapped in a race at Haydock, and the third, or the second Getaway Champ, whichever way they finished round, Getaway Champ's been beaten twice since. So you're asking to bet, was it 7-2 you said there? 7-2 for a favourite in a Ballymore with form that is not working out well. It's just not my game. I get all AP said. The potential's there. He's unbeaten in his last 4. He stays well. He jumps well. He travels well. There's a lot to like. I just would prefer to back something else at the prices because I don't think his form is anywhere near as good as people are making out. I think it's about the same as a few others in the race.
I actually didn't think when I was buying him that he was a horse that would win the Ballymore. I thought he was a 3.5 mile chaser. That's what I thought he was. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's his game. So. And
you were sending him to Nicky? Really?
Well, he had him. He actually had him, so I couldn't take him off him. So you know what I mean? I was either going to buy him. I was either going to buy him or let someone else have him. So, no. Look, the form is not good, but I think he's a solid horse that travels well, and look, something might be better than him. I do think he'd be a better horse than he goes chasing.
So quite an interesting horse. Listening to Harry Skelton the other day was Beaksdown. He was really keen on him.
Yeah, it was very impressive at Warwick. It rode a good race that day. We went nice even gallop, and he turned down the back straight and just kept piling it on and never looked like stopping. I'd say he's a great big horse again. Looks like he'd be an absolute natural chaser. The one that I think for me, Champ was most impressive actually when probably wasn't impressive because he did so much wrong. But when Aidan rode him at Newbury in his handicap, he pulled and pulled and pulled.
Nicky was saying the other day he sort of ran away with him for half the race.
Yeah, and still won. And like good horses, some can get away with it. And he's gone and proven that in a handicap like that, top weight, he's pulled for best part of 1.5 miles, and yet he still finished off like he did. So obviously got a hell of a lot of ability, and that's in the bag. He's got plenty of experience. I think he's the one that everyone should be very, very fearful of.
Oliver, you're studying something over there.
Echoing Sam's comments, you're a big fan of Champ. I think he's the class horse in the race. I do think Beakston's got a chance. I know the Skeltons think the world of this horse, and I've got actually... I was second to him first time out at Uttoxeter with a horse who actually runs tomorrow at Sandown in the EBF final. And so I've been following the horse. I know they wrapped him up a little bit. They haven't over-raced him this season on purpose because, as Sam just said, he's a great big horse. He's a proper chaser in the making. But he's going there with a good each-way chance, definitely. But
is your horse going to win tomorrow, by the way?
He's not without a chance.
Tom thinks so, don't you? What? Oliver's running tomorrow.
That means that's the kiss of death. That's the kiss of death.
When did you last tip a winner?
Don't use that. You're the only one on here that I'm being talked to.
William Hill brought him here for a reason.
Right, Rupert, what have you got to report on day 2?
Thanks. So there's a price boost again from 7:30 till 7:45 on Champ for the Ballymore. Now 5-1, maximum of 25 quid for the next quarter of an hour. Huh? Because we're a bit tighter on this one because we've got quite a lot of liability already there. And the only other thing to mention is our chief trader is very keen on Commander of the Fleet at 16-1. He rates it as highly as Champ, and at 4 times the price he thinks is great value.
Change your trader.
Right, sack the bugger.
The trader doesn't know what's going on.
Trader needs to have a look. Where is he?
He's not here.
Not here, funny enough.
Are you watching?
Come on, Tom, you've got something to add.
Yeah, this is my nap of the meeting. It's called City Island.
Yes.
City Island in this race. I absolutely love him. He's unlike Champ. Every horse he beats comes out and wins. He won when he was disqualified his first time at Galway. They took him to the Galway Festival for his first run over hurdles because the boys like a punt at the Galway Festival, and he beat 2 horses. One has been placed in a Grade 1. One was placed in the bumper. Yeah. Then he went to Leopardstown and he beat Dallas de Picton, who is now favourite for the Martin Pipe. And last time he won a tiny little race in Naas. And the horse that came third went out and won a maiden hurdle too. He's by the same sire as Willoughby Court, who won the race. He jumps brilliantly. I think at 12 to 1 or 10 to 1, I think he's a cracking each way bet.
Wow, well said. What about the RSA? No, Nigel, shall I bypass you?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, let's hang on. We'll come back to. What?
Oh, I got a runner. Of course I have. Sorry.
Are you with us? We're on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah,
Second race on Wednesday.
Count Mirabel, who has been probably a little bit neglected, forgotten about. He ran really well early in the season. Where was he beat? Sam, I can't remember where he was beat.
Sam, we might need you to help him out.
He's beaten at Ascot. He came back. He was very lame afterwards. He's had time off, and hopefully we'll get him back there in time for a really good run. He's quite highly rated. Maybe isn't quite as highly rated as others, but he jumps well, gallops well. Yeah, he'll be all right.
Okay, will it be all right, Sam? What do you think?
I've never sat on it.
You've never seen him.
He's won twice at Cheltenham.
As AP says, he's won twice at Cheltenham. Stays, and he's under the tender care of Jim Old. He knows everything about everything.
He's won twice at Cheltenham. Sadly, not the right week so far, but
no,
could be different next week.
Yeah, no, he could be. He's a lovely horse.
Okay, right, Oliver.
Delta Work.
Uh-huh.
Delta Work's a good horse, I think.
The Irish are mad about this, aren't they? They're all raving about it. Have
Yeah.
you been to quite a lot of previews in Ireland?
I've done a few. Delta Work obviously won the Pertemps last year. It was only off 139 or something like that. If you look at Paul's horse, he was second in the Coral Cup off 152. I actually think Paul's horse should, I wouldn't say it, because I think he'd be better suited to the JLT, to be honest. But it's best for JP that the less he has to beat, the better. So it's good that he's running in here against Delta Work. Delta Work is a very good stayer. Very impressed with him at Leopardstown last time. He beat Larichburg over 2.5 miles. He's a good jumper.
Really quick and accurate,
Does
isn't
what
he?
you need to do to win the RSA. You need to stay really well, and that looks to be his forte. So I'd be with him. I'm not sure that top of the game. Looks like a really good traveller, and I don't know that when it comes to the crunch. He got to the front probably a little bit soon in Kempton when Lavagawar beat him, but I'd be very keen on Delta Work. The price is gone. He's 13 to 8 or something now, but yeah. But he's a
What
very
about
solid horse.
Santini, third in last year's Albert Bartlett?
It doesn't look great for him at the moment. He's a much bigger price than he was, I think. And obviously he's had a few issues with was it a stone bruise or something?
He's lame. He's lame again today. So it's looking poor. It was okay if the first day or two to go a stone bruise that happens.
Nicky was quite hopeful on
he was
Wednesday. But
positive yesterday, but today he's not so good. So to miss 4 or 5 days, it'd be a big worry now, a big concern.
Okay, what do you fancy?
Delta Work is the one for me. It's a real grueling race. This you've got to, for a young horse, first year over fences, especially if it comes up soft ground. You've got to have a very tough individual, and you've got to have horses with experience as well. It's a very trappy race for a novice on soft ground. Delta Work, it's been there, done that, tough. I think he'd be hard to beat.
Sam, what do you like?
Paul's horse is obviously very interesting in that he's got lots of really nice form, but he is a very strong traveller. With the way the ground is going to be, that doesn't bother him too much. But I think the backside of 3 miles, when you jump that last fence and you've got the hill to face, that's going to be a big question mark for him. Obviously, they'll do things slightly a little bit differently. But he's a great big horse. He's 7 now. He's had plenty of time. They kind of trained him all last year, just kept him hurdling. He fell early on in the season and left him purposely to go chasing this year, and obviously it's gone relatively well. So
is he running the wrong race track, Sam?
He has a lot of pace. He's a huge rugby horse. They dream about.
Sam, you rode.
I got sacked for a reason. I can't be careful.
He's being diplomatic, but
Sam,
his face gives it away.
Sam, he's running in the wrong race. Just said.
Sam, you rode him when he won at Sandown, 3 miles soft ground.
Yeah,
Did you?
2.7 that was, and even then he wasn't the strongest at the backside in the finish. So that was the one thing. He's an effortless cruising speed, and you'll see probably around there he'll be. I got sacked for a reason.
Come on, Sam.
I want some rides off him next week. He'll win. No, I don't quite like on the blind side actually. So I remember him winning his novice herd around there. He was the first one off the bridle as he's coming down the hill, and he hit the line real strong. He looked a stare. He's had plenty of time. Obviously, he learnt a good bit from his debut. He's good around Kempton. He'd be one who would like to be on the right side of.
Right, Nigel, I'm going to ask you now in the Queen Mother about a horse I know you'll have heard about. Altior. He's pretty good, isn't he?
It seems to be, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's quite good. You've seen him at Cheltenham a few times in the past?
Certainly have, yes. Yes.
No, it's a watching race, this, isn't it? But it would just be great to see a dominant performance, because he should be in a different league.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah. No, I'm sure he is. Have we seen anything else as good as him? I don't know. Ask the experts, but as I say, I've got nothing to beat him.
Tom, when you get a good horse like this, and the public are very much behind him, you just want to see him go out there, don't you, and deliver. Everyone would like to see that.
He's done it every time, hasn't he? And I can't see any reason why he won't do it again. Look, it's a horse race though, and he's 4 to 11, 1 to 3 in a Champion Chase. Duvan got beat in a Champion Chase one year at a similar price. I think for the punters at home, Min is a cracking each way bet at whatever price he is, 4 to 1 or whatever he is. I don't think he can be at 9 to 2. I don't think he can be out the first 2. I really don't. I think he's clearly the second best horse in the race. And you can't never, it's an old cliche, but you can't be scared. You can't just run. Nigel would never run away from one horse. He never has done. And you just can't do it. And it's a champion chase. Last year he jumped the last in front of Altior. You know, he's a really, really good horseman. And I'd rather back him each way than back Altior at 1 to 3.
AP, do you think Altior's in a different county to these?
I agree with Tom. Min is definitely the second best horse in the Champion Chase, but there's no third best horse when you look at it, because Undesau's probably not. Well, he might not run. Footpad is probably not going to run. You know, you go back to God's Own and Castle Grace Paddy and Politolog, you know, there is no third best horse. Look, I remember an owner asking Martin Pipe once, how does he know what a good horse looks like? And he said that it's one that's got a lot of ones beside his name, and he's got 17 of them beside his. So, you know, how do you even start to pick holes in Altior? He's won on heavy ground. He looked at Sandown that Undesau was giving him as full of it, and he won easily enough. He looked off the bend in Cheltenham last year that he'd get beat, and if you watch him at the winning post, he was only getting going. You know, I think he's an exceptionally good horse. But, you know, I always thought the worry about him was heavy ground being by High Chaparral, but he's already proven that he's won it twice. I think he's an exceptional horse. I think he'd win over any distance.
Sam, it's enjoyable, isn't it, to watch such a good horse go out in a championship race?
The one thing about him, to me, he has such a different way of racing than your normal 2-milers. You see it's high tempo. You see these real little balls of energy, and you see him just lobbing along, great big loopy rein, and then Nico kind of gets after him up from 3 out, and all of a sudden he just comes alive. It's just the one thing I don't really, when I think of a 2-miler, he's what I don't think about, because you think of potentially that's the one thing you'd want to be doing over 3, racing in a kind of relaxed manner as he does. But whatever he does, he's very, very good. He's an exceptional jumper, great talent, and he goes on all sorts of ground. So there's just no real negatives, is there?
Oliver, you wouldn't mind training him, would you?
I'd train him for nothing. No, he's a legend of a horse. He wouldn't have the sort of excitement possibly of Sprinter Sacra. It was a bit more electric, but as Sam said, he's always just behind the bridle and always just does enough. And he's a super jumper of a fence, and I think it's just a race to watch and enjoy a real proper racehorse.
And Rupert, come the day, is he going to be solid at 1 to 3? Do you think he'll shorten, or do you think he'll drift slightly?
I think there'll be some great offers on the day, probably with Altior. So, as we mentioned earlier, hang on to your cash for that one. But I mean, literally, I've got pages of notes from our compilers here. The only thing they've written next to the Queen Mother Champion Chase is Altior wins, and it's as simple as that. Yeah. Sadly, yes.
Pages of notes, but that's all it says on that race. What about the bumper? Tom, where do we start? Is this a race that you like punting in?
No.
A lot of chat, isn't it? Around horses that have ran a couple of times, reputations, bubbles burst. What do we think so far? What have you liked so far and what you've seen?
I haven't liked Envoy Allen that much, the favourite.
Okay.
I think the ground getting soft helps him, but I don't think he's been running in those slowly run Irish races, and he's a big, massive horse that's been bought to be a 3-mile chaser. He might win, but there's plenty that have done exactly the same as him. Look, I don't know who's going to win the bumper. I never know what's going to win the bumper. It's just, Willie Mullins doesn't know what's going to win the bumper. He runs 7, and the outsider of them was won more than once. Relegate last year was the outsider of his whole bunch. So trying to tell these, if the train doesn't know what's going to win, I certainly don't. But the word around is that Willie Mullins is only running 1 this year. Blue Sarri, I think JP owns that. Won very well at Gowran, I think it was. And he's a 4-year-old. 4-year-olds don't do brilliantly in the race, but they've won it a few times. The Q Card won it. So it's not a race I love, but I'd probably stick with him.
AP, Blue Sarri, smart, or what do you think?
Yeah, he won, but I could never tell anyone to back a horse in a bumper. You just never know what you're up against. I got a lot of stick for kicking on down the hill too early in a horse a long time ago called Golden Alpha. He was well fancied. He was favourite or near enough favourite. Got beat by a 50-1 shot, and it was Monsignor who beat him. So you just never know. No one thought it was Monsignor when they were abusing me that evening for sending him on too early, but when you look back at it, so bumpers are impossible. I'd much rather, and it's not a way to make money or it's an easy way to go skint, but back in Tiger Row for the cross-country race when he's got 15 or 16 pound in hand, if presenting Percy or any of the horse that had done what he done the last day in the Boyne Hurdle, they'd have been shorter price for the Gold Cup, and he's running a cross-country race. He's won at the last 3 Cheltenham festivals. I think he's absolutely, I know he's even money shot for racing Cheltenham, it's mad, but he's bomb-proof, I think.
Sam, what about you? You riding anything in the bumper?
I'm down on one of Paul's Flicker Voyu, who's won his last couple. He was quite impressive in doing so. He's bouncing out, making the running, and was relatively short. But as you say with the bumper, it's so hard to know. We won it with Ballyandy, and he's an exceptional talent. But things went right for him that day, and a bit of luck. And it's a tough race to win, and it's very hard. It's just until you've been there on that day and you come back with the right result, you go back scratching your head afterwards.
Oliver, have you heard anything?
No, not a race I like, actually. I don't like it for any of the young horses. I think it's very tough on them. You don't necessarily get them back for next season. It's not a race I like. One horse, are we allowed to mention something else in the Fred Winter, the Boodles Fred Winter, a horse called Lethal Steps, which I thought was the outsider of Gordon Elliott's horses. It's now actually in front. I think it's a Cheveley Park horse. I've heard Arthur Moore would tell him, I know that's fancied back in Ireland. So that's just one for guys to think about.
Okay, you were talking about Private Roll, Nap, Sam. Anything else in any of the races we haven't mentioned so far? What else are you riding on the day?
I think it'd be a quiet day for me. Generally, I think it'd be in the bumper.
Don't you ride the cross-country race? You don't like it?
I did get off for the ride, but I have done it, and not to a great deal of success. So it has to be a very good one.
Anything else on the day? Tom, you've got something else. Come on, you've been tipping something in every race for about the last 9 months, so you must have a few more up your sleeve.
So I like the juvenile race. I love a horse called Band of Outlaws. I love a horse called Band of Outlaws in the juvenile race. He's a shortish price now. He's 6 or 7 to 1, but I thought he was really, really impressive the other day. I'd fancy him to give Sir Eric a race in the Triumph Hurdle if he went there. So I'd be quite keen on him. And Jessica Harrington's got one in the same race. A big price horse, Got Trumped, who ran really well behind in the Grade 1 race at Leopardstown, I think it was. Finished 6th or 7th. But he ran okay. He got hampered badly turning home. He was right on the heels of the good horses. And I thought he's quite well handicapped. I thought he might run well. But I think Band of Outlaws is a really good horse and a really well handicapped one too.
Okay, Nigel, you've got something in the Coral Cup, haven't you? Tell us about it. Ballyandy?
Yeah, I'd like to disagree with Oliver saying the bumper knackers horse is absolute rollicks. The new one, Ballyandy, they've all run very well in the bumper, and they were. He finished 6th, only beaten 5 lengths or something. But anyway, no, but he won the next season.
Wasn't
it
good
doesn't
enough.
ruin anything.
No, I didn't say that. I said you can do. You didn't run well enough in the bumper.
No, but he didn't ruin him for next season. What?
Did he ruin any clouds?
Didn't ruin Ballyandy either, did it?
Come on, tell us about Ballyandy.
Didn't ruin many clouds.
No, Lake wasn't off on it.
Here we go.
How's Ballyandy going to run in the Coral Cup?
Ballyandy,
He's not ruined. He's still in one
he's
piece.
still very much in one piece. And I think he'd have a good shout in the Coral Cup. Really do. He's a lovely horse.
What was that, Sam? Right, let's move on to Thursday.
Hopefully I'll get a decent jockey on him.
Bad time, eh? Bad time. Let's move on to the Thursday, the JLT, and we'll start with AP because an obvious starting point here is Defi de Sol. This is the race he's going to run in, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's going to run here. Obviously, Phillips' horses weren't in great form last year. He won the Triumph Hurdle. But more importantly, he looked at Cheltenham on New Year's Day and the Dipper, whatever it was, lost the transition, beat him. But if you look at him between the second last to last, he quickened away from him. And it looked more like he stopped in front than he didn't stay. When they met again in the Scilly Isles, he was ridden with a bit more restraint. And look, Sandown is tough enough. He looked like at Sandown like he was always going to beat him. He wasn't that impressive beating him, but he beat him. Do I think he'll beat him again? I think he'll beat him again. I think it's interesting that Vindication is back in the race. I actually thought he was quite a smart horse before he got beat in Sandown the last day. I was a bit disappointed in him, Sandown. He didn't travel, he didn't jump the way he had done in the past. Look, he's obviously not had a great preparation. There are question marks. Look, I think Defi de Sol will win.
Okay, Sam, what do you think? There's very little between them, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which way do you think it'll go?
I think it's between the two. I love Lost in Transaction as a horse that just kind of jumps out of you as a chaser, like the way he goes round, he's exuberant, lobs away. I think he took off a stride early at one of the ditches at Newbury one day, but he was so... The first time round he made a mistake. Second time he was so far, he did exactly the same, but was so far out the backside of it. It was just very impressive. He's loads of natural scope. I imagine as he to his odds, he'd be going there very fit, very well, and I think I'd love to ride him. He's just a proper chaser.
I echo all those boys. There's one horse of Willie Mullins's.
That's your phrase.
Yeah, it
of
is.
the
What's all
night.
think?
I
Well,
echo
no,
those thoughts.
You asked them before me. You should ask
Sorry.
me first.
Next time I'm going to ask you first. Right.
No, hold on. There's one horse which you haven't been mentioned. Is a mare, I think, of Willie Mullins's called Pravalugana. Okay.
It was a good effort. That was a very good effort.
Really?
Right, I'm going to quit there.
No, but hang on. Why? Can you justify your selection?
Laguna apparently is going to run in the race with the least runners. How they're going to work that out? She's not the best jumper in the world, apparently.
So you just piped down over there. You've been shouted down.
You blew it. You had your chance and you blew it.
Come on, Tom. What about you?
Look, the boys have got it right. It's not a great race, is it? I mean, there's two or three of them. Wait, I hate saying it's not a great race because all Cheltenham races are great, but it's not as good a race as some of them. I think the boys are right. I think the two of them are quite a bit ahead of the rest. I know the official ratings don't say that. They give a few of the handicappers a chance, but I think the two of them are streets ahead. I would be in the Defi de Sol camp.
Okay, Rupert, come on, shed some light on the Thursday. What offers have we got in store?
So the offer starts at 8 o'clock, so we're a bit early. 8 till 8:15.
Oh, they're up. Are they? They're up. They've caught up.
Epatante. I can ask AP to get that correct. Epatante.
Epatante?
Is 2-1 from 6 to 4, maximum of £50 this time. Our compiler on this one likes the look of Real Steel, which is currently 7-1 with us.
Okay. Where were we? JLT. We've done that. Right, let's move on to the Ryanair. Frodden's going to run in the Ryanair, isn't it? Bryony Frost was on the panel the other day, and she was a bit coy about it. She wouldn't say it, but it is, isn't it? There was all the chat after it won last time where Paul was like, no, definitely Gold Cup. But I think he's after the pennies and winning the right race, isn't he?
Have you heard anything?
Frodden?
Okay.
I think it'll run in the Ryanair, don't you?
Basically fancies Landers over too much to run Frodden against.
Yeah, I think
Hang
it's
on,
fair
Lit.
shout.
Use your microphone.
I think he fancies Clandazobo so much that he won't run Frodden against him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what my reading of it. The fact he's even thinking about going for the Ryanair. Now he must really fancy Clandazobo.
Frodden should run in the Ryanair, realistically. If you were to run it in the race, it's got the best possible chance.
Mona Lee.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Right, I forgot we were meant to be starting with you here. Come on, come on, Oliver.
I said that. Just that Mona Lee.
Oh, is that
for
it?
Me. Mona Lee for me. You asked me that, so I can
Okay.
pass on. They can give me grief now.
Come on, tell us why you like Mona Lee.
It did good prep. Was impressed the other day. Was it Goran? Thurles Goran.
Made all to win at Goran.
I like the horse. It's battle hardened. Frodon coming in definitely comes into play. I thought he'd go for the Gold Cup, but yeah, I'm sure you're right because Paul's so bloody selfish. That's why he wouldn't want to have two good ones in a Gold Cup.
Sam?
I was going to say I echo Oliver's thoughts. But I can't even say that now.
You've been...
About the first bit, Mona Lee, yeah.
What was that, Sam?
Mona Lee, good jumper, forward going, nice, lovely way of racing. Like the horse.
Okay, you've been in at Paul's. Any chat?
Was there this morning. Frodon did a 1.5 miles with a horse called Pick Dairy that runs in the Triumph.
Pick Dairy, yeah.
And two babies, and Frodon looked really well, very fresh, so wouldn't put anyone off him.
You think he'll run in the Ryanair?
I'd imagine so. The way he races, he's bold, he's keen. I thought he was just getting to the end of his tether at Cheltenham, and obviously you got the extended trip, soft ground, so it'd be the race I'd be running him in anyway.
Okay. Tom?
Sorry, Oliver, don't like Mona Lee. Don't like Mona Lee at all. I think he's a real softie myself. I don't think he really likes it. I think the last twice he's run at Cheltenham, he's looked like he was going to win twice. I know it was over a bit further, but he's never really galloped up the hill for me either time. I think it was a bit of a soft race he won last time. I'm pretty sure the second horse was giving a prep for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. So I wouldn't be overly keen. I think this is a really good race. I think Footpad's going to come in here. He won the Arkle last year. I'm not sure about his preparation either, but I think the horse that is staring everyone in the face, that is a big price and no one's talking about.
Would you be worried about the ground if it was pretty soft for Footpad?
No, I think you like the ground.
Oh,
It's
you
no
like
problem.
soft, really soft.
And he'll
Okay.
stay the trip. But I love Underso. I think he's clearly the best horse in the race. He's won 10 or 11 Grade 1s. He's won this race before. He'll love the ground. He gave Altior a real fright at Sandown in the Tingle Creek. I just think he's the best horse, and I cannot believe he's not favourite.
Nigel, you heard of any of those or not? No. Okay. What? Under what? No, he says no. Oh dear, he's just quietly taking it all in on the end. Right, what about the Oh, you know about the stairs. Come on, here we go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we got Holstone in there, third last year. Do you remember, forget these horses?
Sorry, you nearly jumped out of his chair when we started talking about the stairs.
You know, Holstone.
I saw him the other day.
Yeah, that was my big recommendation as a place on him. At the festival, he's third last year. He's in really good form, and he's a forgotten horse. He's the best horse in England. Whatever the Irish are going to bring over, I don't know. But when he's right, which he is now, he'll run really well.
Sam, your dad's just come alive. The stairs, he said, I know about this one.
Yeah, he was a good third in it last year. Obviously, he's a grand horse. He's been there and done it before. He really likes Cheltenham. When you look through the race, you look for a lot of them. Obviously, Paisley Park has been good all year, but it's obviously very short price now. Faheen has just always been Faheen. He's got loads and loads of ability. He'd be the one for me. I think you've got to stick a balls on his back and see how he's going, because he's so much ability, but it's big question marks as always.
Oliver, I'm very conscious not to leave you to last, so we're going to head to you. Paisley Park, how impressed have you been by him so far?
Yeah, big fan. I love these stays. He reminds me of English Drever. He's always just behind the bridle, always just doing enough. And then I know Aidan was really worried at the top of the hill in his last race in the Cleve, and then he just grabbed hold of him and he just took off. And I think that's a sign of a real good horse. He hasn't beaten much over here, but I don't think there's much to beat. There's a lot of vibes coming over from Ireland over Faheen, but he's an 11-year-old. Can he come back? I can't. I'm afraid Paisley Park...
It's been 33 years since an 11-year-old won this race.
God, you've done your homework, haven't you?
That was impressive.
Yeah,
really
very impressive. Very
I read that somewhere.
Yeah. No, I'm a big Paisley Park fan. It'd be great for Aidan and great for Emma. AP, what did you like in the stairs? Paisley Park, it was a good...
It was a dominant performance last time, wasn't it? You can see why he's favourite.
Yeah, he definitely upped his game. I thought it was like when he won in Ascot, I wasn't that impressed with him, to be honest. Didn't think it was much of a race. Beat a horse of Western Approach, or he's called Tizzards, that never wins. He beat him again at Cheltenham the last day. But you'd have to be impressed the way he turned into the straight. He looked like, as Oliver said, looked like he was half struggling down the hill, like a lot of the good stayers do. The Barracudas, English Dreamer, Big Bucks, they all race a bit like that. And he flew up the hill. I look at the stair turtle it is now, and I'm not sure there's great depth to it. You know, I think Faheen, I can see why they fancy him. Ruby said when he fell against Applesjade the last time, he still had plenty of horse. He won the stair turtle in Punchestown at the back end of last season. He got a bit of a freebie, to be fair. But before he won the Ballymore, he won in Limerick on really heavy ground over 3 miles and couldn't pull him up. Now I know it was 5 years ago or something, but still, I genuinely think it's a 2-horse race. You know, I can't see any of the rest of them having any chance. I think you'd have to look. He's a crazy price, 5 to 4, but he probably deserves to be the way it's looking at the moment.
Tom Faheen, he's won 11 of his 12 starts over hurdles. It was a pretty bad fall, wasn't it, last time?
It's a bad fall, but he's never been beaten when he's raced over 2.5 miles when he stood up. He's a proper 3-miler. He's always been a 3-miler. Because he was so good, he could win the champion hurdle. It was probably what I was going back to earlier about there not being that many good 2-milers around, but he's never been beaten when he's gone over 2.5 miles, so he's clearly shot. It's going to sound ridiculous because he's won a champion hurdle and he's won a Ballymore, but if it was at Punchestown, I think he'd win. Because it's Cheltenham, I just don't think he's quite as good at Cheltenham. I think if you look at his Racing Post ratings or his ratings, even though he's won a champion hurdle, it's £10 below what he's done at Punchestown in the past. So that's my only slight query about him. I think Paisley Park is a ridiculous price, simply for the fact that the Cleve last time totally fell apart. Coming at the top of the hill, he was at any price to win. Coming to 2 out, he's still any price to win, and he wins by 15, whatever he was, 15 lengths. Now, that's clearly a sign of a good horse, but I think it tells you something about the race, for me, that it fell apart.
Our horse made a mistake, you know, just the wrong time. You'd have been bang there otherwise.
Yeah. And that's what I think. I think, you know, the ratings will tell you he improved £20 to win that race at the Cleve Hill. Now, he's had a few runs. He was pulled up in the Albert Bartlett, and suddenly he runs once at a good run. And now he's 5 to 4 to win a Stayers. It's not what I like in a bet. You know, if he was 5 to 1, yeah, no worries. But 5 to 4 is really short. Faheen's got much better form.
Other races on the day. Rupert mentioned Epitante. Now, you're quite keen on this, aren't you, AP?
I think Nikki's quite keen or more than I am. You know, she looked impressive. And her 2 runs, she won at Kempton earlier on the year. She won very impressively in a nothing race the last day. She won in Exeter. She was 1 to 6 or something like that. Posh Tricia Pauls has got pretty good form. She's got a decent enough rating, won well in Taunton the last day. Posh Trish did, but you know, if you're listening to the trainer, in which we're purely going, you couldn't go on what Epitante has done so far because you know she hasn't beaten enough to suggest that. But the trainer thinks she's pretty good, like so. You're just going purely.
Nicky's really keen on her. He's deliberately avoided running in a better race.
You're going purely on reputation, you know. So you are. I actually liked his other mare, Elusive Bell, whenever she won first time out, but she got beat last time in Sandown.
He tipped her up each way the other day.
I thought she was really impressive in Wincanton. I thought she was a good mare, but just so disappointing. Look, he's raving about Epitante.
She was so keen. She was too keen at Sandown. You've got to put a line through that.
The only thing is about being keen in Sandown, Nicky's horses get like that when they haven't ran for a long time. They just run so fresh, you know. So, and she hadn't ran between whenever she won. She won in Kempton in November, and she hadn't run like for 4 months. So they just run a bit like that. Look, purely on reputation. Purely, if you're listening to Nicky Henderson, you'd probably back her. But you couldn't back her on what she's done because you don't know.
Sam, what else are you riding? Sorry. No, go on.
Well, I just like to ask Oliver. I mean, I hate hoods, and she's going to have a hood put on. I know Al Dancer wears it, but I always think that when you put something like that on, it's an indication that there's something in the background that you're worried about. Now, for a 6 to 4 favourite that's putting a hood on for the first time, he's clearly worried that she's going to pull too hard. Horses that pull too hard don't win at Cheltenham. What was your opinion?
It might. I take his point. Your point, but the hood might make all the difference to him.
Well, it might, but we're 6 to 4 here. I mean, that's the point.
I wouldn't be doing 6 to 4.
No,
absolutely.
with a horse that's pulled like she did.
No, I couldn't agree more. Epitante beat a horse of mine having her second run over hurdles at Exeter the other day. She's okay, but she's no bloody Cheltenham winner. And I know she's done it in a common canter, but I'm always concerned with horses winning races like that on the bridle, and they haven't actually had to fight or come off the bridle. You don't know what's coming off the bridle, what happens when it come off the bridle. So you wouldn't be backing a 6-4, that's a certainty.
Sam, what else are you riding on the day?
Bits and pieces. One in the mare's novice hurdle, but it's just there to just see. The one actually that jumped out to me, a nice sort of price, was Kilfinham Cross. I thought they'd done everything right in getting Derek over to ride the horse at Ludlow. Won nicely enough, and obviously this has then been the target with everything in advance. So I thought he was one in the Camure, which was potentially quite interesting.
Okay. Tom, something else on the day? A few others on the day?
I was thinking about a horse. I did a preview the other night about the mares race, and the Mullins team put up a horse that hadn't even run over hurdles before, and I can't remember the name of it, Counter Easter or something. And she's owned by the Isaac Swade and Simon Munir, and she's by Nathaniel, and she has some good horse form in France. And I just thought it was interesting at a big price for those listening that they thought she'd run really well.
Okay. Rupert, the final day, what offers have you got in the pipeline?
Well, just so you know, Nigel's horse is 40 to 1 for the stayers. So Holstone is 40 to 1. So it's a big price each way.
Yeah, each way.
Right, on to the final day. Price boost, which should be happening about 8:30, is presenting Percy.
No, it's okay. It's in tune.
But yeah, we're pushing out presenting Percy to 5 to 1 from 7 to 2 for 50 quid, which should last for the next 15-20 minutes.
Okay, good stuff. AP, the Triumph. Many will say that Sir Eric is one of the bankers of the week. There's been an awful lot of chat about him. How impressive have you been with him so far?
I think he's a very good horse. Won in Leopardstown first time out. What I really liked about him the last day in Leopardstown is that he made all the running. He never as much as looked one way or the other. He jumped straight as a gun bar. He didn't go that fast for a horse you'd have thought needs a real good test of stamina. He quickened from the back of the second last all the way down to the last, and from the last to the winning post he was only getting going. Don't think there's, looking at him, it doesn't look like there's any chinks in his armour. He looks like, you don't get it very often, but a very good flat horse that can jump. And I'm sure that if it wasn't the owner that hands him, I would imagine he would never have been over jumps in the first place. So I think
still a colt, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still a colt, but it hasn't. I think he's a pretty quiet horse. People tend to worry about colts sometimes that they can get a bit excited sometimes, but I think he's a very well mannered, very quiet horse. Look, he's a crazy price, even money for a Triumph hurdle. It's not like it used to be. There's not 30 runners in it, and even if there was, he could be ridden very handily and stay out of trouble. And I just don't know. He's going to stay well. He jumps well. I know if the ground's soft, he won on heavy in Limerick or somewhere on the flat. I know it's totally different than jumping ground, but I actually think if it was softer, I think he went even further, because a lot of them are ex-flat horses, and a lot of them weren't as good as him, and they probably won't stay as well as him. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being blinded, but I just think he looks the part.
Tom, 7 of the last 10 favourites have been beaten in the race. What are you thinking? Even money? Pretty short?
Very short. Very short for a horse doing something different than he's had to do before. But he was third in the Group 1 at Champions Day, wasn't he? Third to Stradivarius. He's got so much class. That was on very soft ground. It probably won't be soft ground like Cheltenham, but it was soft ground. I mean, Ascot in October can be quite bad. He had a little problem the other day. I don't think that will be an issue. It's hard to see anything beating him on what we've seen so far. There's a lot of chat about Paul's horse, but everyone tells me he's the greatest thing since come over since France, since Napoleon or whatever he was. But
Kel Deston.
Yeah, but no, Pic Dory.
Pic Dory, the other one. Sorry. Yeah.
It's hard to win first time up. I think straight off without having run. I thought the horse that was second to Sir Eric first time, Tiger Tap Tap, might run into a frame. He's the Mullins team were really keen on him to beat him next time, but the ground was quick, and he's a big French horse. He'll want soft ground. If it turns soft, I could see him running into a place, but I really do think Sir Eric's class above.
Okay, Oliver, I'm very conscious not to leave you to last.
Well, you have.
No, Sam's last this time.
Well, big fan of Sir Eric's, what I've seen. It's rather ironic that JP's getting all these really good horses. He must be his strongest ever team after the champ has just retired. I don't know if it's a sort of, he's trying to say something. Any response?
I did ask him, yeah. He said, obviously he's got an answer for everything and doesn't make you feel bad. He said, I didn't need good horses when you were riding for me, so... so
okay.
15
all.
You went to sleep feeling very happy about that.
I did actually ask them a few times, were you just waiting for me to retire? Like, if you were that bothered, I would have retired earlier if you wanted me to. but he has got the best
in all
horses he's ever
seriousness,
had.
it's the best team
Ever, yeah.
JP would ever be sending
Disgrace.
to Cheltenham.
A
disgrace.
You know, I will point out to him. I might nearly annoy him and come out of retirement, Oliver, for that. So I said,
you wouldn't do the weight now.
Sam, why don't you tell us about the Paul Nicholls horses? What's the chat on those two?
I rode schooled Cheltenham in the week. He's in really good nick. Obviously, he has a great way of racing. He's very lazy. Kind of when you ask him, he gives a little bit. So he'd never be one to go and win by large distances, but he gets the job done. I rode Pictohori this morning, and just a little racecourse gallop went really nicely. Obviously, second in a Grade 1 in France the last day. How it relates to coming over here, you know, the ground won't be too much of a problem. Looks to be relatively straightforward. Yeah, I'm down on Pictohori, so hopefully he's an airplane.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's move on to the Albert Bartlett. Stamina and guts very much win the day. Oh, Nigel's woken up.
You've got the news here first. We've just supplemented a horse, the Albert Bartlett. Thing called King's Place shouldn't be in the race, but the owner wants to have a go. There you go, that'll do. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
He has as much chance as I do of finding a missus in the next year. I'm ginger and 5'9".
Right, I think this could be a good opportunity.
and look like you, Nigel.
Where is this photo that we've got to show? Oliver's got a very special photo of you in the bath with his daughter when you were 3. Where is it?
It was a year ago.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll save that for later. Where were we?
He hasn't been in the bath with a girl ever since.
Anyway, right, come on, you can help me out here. What's going to win the Albert Bartlett?
Tricky one. AP's probably the man to ask. Birchdale. What do you think? We stay the
Nicky's
trip?
very keen on Birchdale.
We stay the trip? It wouldn't be the race I'd run him in.
Will he stay the trip? Who knows, Tom? But he was the form of his Warwick race is strong. You know, there's been plenty of winners come out of it. He won the last day in Cheltenham when brewing up a storm fell up beside him. He looks like he's got plenty of pace. The one thing about the Albert Bartlett, in recent times, it's been won by a horse that has had lots of runs or lots of experience. Maybe with the ground being a bit quicker this year, maybe there hasn't been as much opportunity for that. Very open race. Commander of Fleet looked tough when he won in Leopardstown the last day when he beat Rhinestone. Look, it's a tough
He'll
race.
relish the test, won't he, Commander of Fleet?
Yeah, Commander of Fleet will. Look, Birchdale looks a very classy, good travelling horse, you know. So whether he'll really stay it out, I don't know. As I said, for some reason, horses with lots of experience have won it in the last number of years. So I don't know. I haven't got a clue about Albert Bartlett.
I get the impression you don't think Birchdale's going to stay.
No, well, good horses get beat in the race. Balco de Flo, Paisley Park, Santini, OK Corral, they all get beat. The good horses get beat, the solid, tough ones win. It's just one of those races. I thought Rebecca Curtis's horse, Liz Nagar Oscar, is a very solid horse. I think Santini's brother, Rock Point, won over the course and distance earlier in the season, beating Liz Nagar Oscar. I thought he might run well at a big price. And the Irish horse, Derrin Ross, who's won over 3 miles in heavy ground. I think he's just the type of horse that will thrive given the test that it is. So it's a race to sort of look for the tough one rather than the classy one.
Okay.
The other one I thought, I don't know why, because it doesn't have the breed ring and suggested it had a chance, but Naktitat of Ben Pauling's won in Doncaster the last day, was never travelling that well. Looks like he really stays. I know you wouldn't think a Teofilio would win an Albert Bartlett, but he's got a rating of 140 something. He's not that far behind a lot of the others in official ratings, and he's had loads of runs in the flat. So I don't know. It's a tough race.
Sam, what's impressed you?
It's a tough race. Generally looking through it, was impressed with Rebecca Curtis' horse. Haydock was good and strong at the back end, but it's wide open. You want something that's obviously going to grid it out and going through it. It is a terribly tough pickup. She wouldn't be too obliged to jump on any bandwagon.
I'm a fan of Rebecca's horse. Battle hardened, like soft ground, stays, tough. And her horse has been running really well this winter as well, which is good. So for me, Liz Nagar, Oscar.
Funny enough, that's our trader who is paid for not doing very much. He also agrees. He says that 7-1 shot is great. With William Hill, yeah, okay. I'm standing here.
What about the Gold Cup?
Start with Oliver. Let's give Oliver the
hang
first
on,
crack.
Yeah. Oliver, hang on. No. Okay, we'll give Nigel a go. An intriguing race. I mean, it's such an open race this year, isn't it? You can make a case for loads of them.
Well, exactly. I have the joint top-rated horse in the race, who is. We'll have to ask the experts. What is Bristol? What price is he?
No, it's down the bottom somewhere.
33 to 1, and he's absolutely murdered the favourites. So, need I say more? You know, why is he that priced? The experts will have to tell me. I haven't got a clue.
I think Nigel's got a right. I think he's got a right shout.
Bristol de Mai.
Hand on heart. Seriously, I love your horse. I absolutely adore it. Can you see?
I absolutely agree. You know, he was 6th in the race 2 years ago when he was 6. He had a desperate preparation. He was lamed every corner. He's had a wonderful preparation this year. He murdered Clanders Oboe, who everybody thinks. Oh.
Clanders Oboe's probably improved quite a lot, hasn't it, this year?
Well, he has, yeah. But you know, how much has he improved since Haydock? Probably not.
Yeah.
There you are.
Enough said. That's the Gold Cup done. Sam, do you agree?
I hope he's right.
Come on, you can add a bit more. Okay, sorry. Oliver's go.
Well, listen, the ground's going to dictate. I can't have Clanders Oboe going right-handed. He only wins going right-handed. I just can't have him. I'm afraid what are you showing me? Oh, right, sorry. No, don't mind.
Rupert, you're confusing him. You've completely thrown him off track.
With the weather as it is, I'm going to stick with Native River. He's proven over the trip. You've got to stay the Gold Cup. Presenting Percy, it will be, I wouldn't say the training feat of the century, but he's still only barely a novice. And you're going to go a different pace to what you run over fences in the RSA last year. He's had one run in a hurdle race and he's jumped Galway backwards. By the way, I have got a half-brother to him sitting in the yard for sale. That's my sort of spiel done. Anybody got an open checkbook? So, no, I can't have Clanders Oboe, and presenting Percy is a big question mark. Native River's been there, done it. And I say, you get so many horses, you get 3 miles, from 3 in 1, you've got an extra bit. And on soft ground, one other horse is Collins' other horse, the Welsh national winner. You can, if it comes up soft, you cannot knock him out of the equation. And I've forgotten his name. Elegant Escape. Yeah. Definitely. You've got to have those
and then there's Thistlecrack as well.
I can't have Thistlecrack. Benny Clouds broke his heart years ago. And he's done. I can't have him on my mind.
AP, what does it take to win a Gold Cup?
No. What does it take to win a Gold Cup? Obviously a horse that can run faster than all the other ones. But what they need to do is stay a bit longer. And I agree with Oliver about Native River. The only thing is, better horse than Native River couldn't win back-to-back Gold Cups. Now, he's had a good preparation in that he's only ran twice, and I do think that any horse that wins a Gold Cup should never run again that season, because it's really, really hard on him. And he obviously didn't run again after Gold Cup last year. He's ran on 2 tracks, everyone will say, that weren't to his, didn't play to his strengths. But look, I just think it's so hard to win back-to-back Gold Cups, and I think that's a negative for him. Presenting Percy, when I've watched the RSA last year, I thought he was a Gold Cup winner waiting to happen. But I think the last horse to win a Gold Cup without having run over fences that year was in 1929 or something. It was a long time ago anyway. So that stat is against him. I look at Willie Mullins. I think he's got a really good chance. Boy won in Leopardstown. Got a good ride from the front. You know, is he guaranteed to stay? I'm not sure. Bells Hill should have won the Irish Grand National. Definitely guaranteed to stay. And I would imagine I'd be very, very surprised if Ruby doesn't ride him. Album Photo, for some reason, I know David Casey likes him. The time of the race, or the speed figure race he put up in Tremor was supposed to be very good. You could give him a chance. And I actually do agree with Nigel. I'm not just saying this to keep him happy. I actually tipped him the other day somewhere that Bristol Lamai, if the ground were to be soft or heavy, which it could easily be, he's a good stayer, and he's put up as good a chasing performance as any horse have done the last 2 years, albeit at Haydock. But I don't think, as he said, he was 6th in the Gold Cup. At 33 to 1, there is definitely a lot worse horse you could back. But at the moment, when I picked one, I was thinking Bells Hill all along. I thought Calandazobo was so impressive in the King George. The more you watch it, the more you realise he won a lot easier than the distance he won by. But anyway, what I'm going to go for, which is completely, I don't know why I picked that out, is Album Photo or actually Bristol Lamai each way.
It's a fascinating race, isn't it? I mean, Tom, how many have you tipped for this race over the last 6 months?
In the last 6 days, about 20 of them. I disagree with the boys a bit. I think stayers win bad Gold Cups. I think class wins most Gold Cups. And I think Native River won a bad Gold Cup last year. I think this is miles better. We've got the last 3 King George winners. We've got the 1, 2, 3 from last year. We've got 2 Betfair Chase winners. We've got 2 Savills Chase winners. We've got an Irish Gold Cup winner. I think it's as good a Gold Cup in terms of quality as there's been for a few years. And therefore, I'm looking for class. I think the stamina horses will get taken off their feet. That's what I think, the slow horses. It won't be a synchronised year. It won't be a Native River year for me. So I'm looking for classy horses. I think Nigel is right. I think his horse is as classy as anything in the race. I'd be slightly concerned about Cheltenham for him. Not that he's not run well at Cheltenham. It's just that Haydock is £10 better so far on what he's done. So therefore, I get the 33 to 1 is a ridiculous price. It is on form.
He only runs at Haydock, so...
Yeah, but you can't deny that his form, all the ratings people and all that would say that it's... But I get it. I get it. But he has run at Cheltenham before, hasn't he? And it's not quite as good. He's run Cheltenham 3 or 4 times.
Twice, isn't it? But he's run well.
Yeah, but he's not done the Haydock form. So that would be my thing. That would be my thing about him, and that's why he's 33 to 1. I agree entirely that on form, he's far too big a price. For me, Calandazobo is much the best horse this year. Much the best horse, and it's not even close. I know Bristol beat him at Haydock, but he was incredibly impressive at Haydock, and he was even better at Ascot. I'm worried about him going right-handed, I am, but I think he'll stay, and I think he's got class. And the other one I like is JP's horse, Annabelle Fly, who had a terrible preparation last year.
He's the only horse AP hasn't mentioned.
He took the worst fall you'll ever see in the Irish Gold Cup before he came to Cheltenham. Still stayed on into 3rd. He's got lots of back class throughout his career. He's run Grade 1s, and I think at 33 to 1, given the ground and the conditions, I think he'll run into the frame. But I think Calandazobo is the best. And I have to mention Presenting Percy, because I think, you know, if you go down the ratings, I think he's 10th or 11th best in. You know, you're asking for an RSA winner, which was a very good performance, but you've got to ask him to beat, as I say, all those good horses, and on the back of not having had a run. And I think it's a tough task for him. If he does it, I think he's just an absolute aeroplane superstar.
Well, Sam, listening to Nigel, it's a formality, but if you were afraid of one horse, what would it be?
Native River. I think the way he lends himself to that race is it's the perfect race for the horse. So you watch him around Kempton, Haydock, it's never really happening. He's just jumping a little bit slow here and there. And you see the way he's kind of finished the back end of the King George, which is totally against him. Just makes you think back to his Cheltenham last year. He's had plenty of time since. They left him fresh. They didn't go for the Denman Chase when it was abandoned. And he just looks the right one. I think Dickie lay up his neck, kicking him in the belly. It's just something I look forward to watching. I think he's the one to peg back. He gets into that kind of real effortless rhythm. And at the end of the day, you've got like horses like Calandazobo who travel and jump and do everything in a lot of ease. But the one thing that's not easy is we've seen however many times before, it's not easy to get past Native River.
Sam, what else are you riding on the day?
Something in the Grand Annual for Dr. Newland, Cade de Lynn. He well, it wouldn't matter if he never won again. He nicked a 70 grand handicap at Ascot, so that was job done. He's got a little squeak. What else have we got that day? Pictory was obviously in the Triumph we talked about. And yeah, I think that would be me.
Okay. Nigel, you've got something else running on the card?
Yeah, we got Mr. Antolini, who, especially if it's soft ground in the Martin Pipe, you know, that race, because it's so, you know, it's nearly a championship race in a way for 0 to 140 horses. You know, they're all got the same weight. You know, he's a nice horse. He won the Imperial Cup last year. Needs that a little bit further now. This could be his day.
I like him. I like Mr. Antolini a lot. I think the ground's right for him. I like him even
suddenly
more now.
as we're wrapping up,
but I like him.
They're agreeing on something.
No, I like him. I think he's just, the Imperial Cup form is very, very good. The second horse came out and won another handicap afterwards by 16 lengths. You know, and is one of the favourites for the race tomorrow. So I think on soft ground, he ran very well at Ascot earlier in the season, and he stays well. And there's a lot of sort of fancy Dan horses, but he's tough and solid, and he'll run really well. I thought Le Parisienne in the Grand Annual, he won the race last year. He's virtually off the same mark this year. I think he's £1 higher. I think the ground will be suit him, and I think he'll go well. And there's the Fox Hunters. It's not normally a race I have a look at, but I was having a look at the other day, and a horse called Haymount, who was third in the 4-miler one year to, I think it was Manella Rocco. I don't know who it was, but he ran really, really well in it. And he's won his 2 points. He's going to be ridden by Gina Andrews, and I thought he'd go really well. Okay.
AP, other selections on the day?
I think Gordon Elliott has a very good chance of winning the Martin Pipe. I thought Dallas the Peak John was definitely a horse that improved. It looks like to me that Cartwright hasn't won a race yet. Cartwright hasn't won a race yet over jumps. Pretty good flat horse. Don't really like horses that are a bit older going jumping. But he ran over 2 miles the last time in a good competitive handicap at Leopardstown. He's stepping back up and trip a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Cartwright has a big chance in the Martin Pipe of Gordon Elliott's. And I did like Dallas the Peak Sean all along. I thought he was a horse that hadn't loads of runs. He stays well. He won over 3 miles the last time. As Tom said, City Island beat him well. So, you know, if he was to win, it would definitely frank his form. But yeah, those are the two I like, you know.
And Oliver, on the end, you're looking particularly studious.
What?
Anything else on the card on Friday? No?
Right, well,
what are you looking at over there?
I didn't realise he was so short. I was going to say a horse I used to train last year in the Fox Hunters called Road to Rome. But he's 6 to 1, so he's not really a sort of anything exciting, really. But I was dying to run him out beyond 2.5 miles, and I wasn't allowed to. And now he's winning everything over 3 miles. He's obviously... I was about to say that. Massively improved since he's last Rownhurst. So I rest my case.
And that's why Oliver's got no runners at Cheltenham this year. Your words of wisdom have been brilliant. Right, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with you, who's going to tell us the best bet of the meeting and your best each-way selection.
Paisley Park in the Stayers, and each way, Itchy Feet in the Supreme.
Okay, Sam? Ooh.
Yeah. Well, he's my best ride by a mile.
Well reminded.
Yeah, and what I'd go... No. Oh, yeah, okay. Bristol and I in the Gold Cup each way, and then we'll be hopeful El Dancer in the first, and that way then we'll have a nice weekend.
AP?
Well done, Sam. Well done, Sam. I think Sir Eric and Tiger are all two of the shortest price horses, but I think they'll both win. And I think Cartwright in the Martin Pipe. Cartwright of Gordon Elliott's in the Martin Pipe. So Tiger Roll, Sir Eric, and that Cartwright.
Tiger Roll, even money. Sir
It's
Eric,
a good thing.
even money.
Yeah, certainly. You just want horses that are going to collect the money. And Cartwright as well. And I wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world if Bristol Demai was run a big race in the Gold Cup, especially if it. And I know he doesn't need soft ground, but I think he'd cope with it as well as any other. So,
Tom,
City Island is my big one. That's the one that'll get me to the Bahamas in the Ballymore, and I like JP's horse in the Gold Cup, Annabelle Fly. I think he'll run a massive race.
Oh, I'm about to get a ticket. Yeah, Hugh, you parked my car. Right, Nigel.
Well, my sort of best bet was a place a double on Holstone and Bristol de May.
Each way double.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't even say each way. So I don't think
Win
Holstone
double.
will win. No, a place double.
Okay.
Because Holstone won't win the stayers, but he'll be placed.
Okay.
And,
Whereas Bristol de May will
Bristol
win.
will win, but so the place will, the place double will earn you a lot of money. It's in the bank, exactly. Place double, it's in the bank. And also Bristol to win the Gold Cup. Thank you.
Brilliant. Simple as that. Right. Let's go. Hang on. Let me take that off you. Rupert, have we got a couple of questions?
What an each way double, 40 to 1 and 33 to 1. We got 3 very quick ones. The first one's actually for Nigel. Why is Thistlecrack being so overlooked for the Gold Cup?
Well, he hasn't run that brilliantly this season, has he?
I'm asking the question. It's not.
Why are we asking Nigel about
not my fault.
Thistlecrack?
He's a trainer and he understands.
Well, no. It's never been anywhere near me.
Okay, well, we'll move on swiftly. AP, given the choice, who would you ride, Birchdale or Dickie Diva?
If you were going on a line with that Liscudine Oscar, who's nearly favourite, Dickie Diver was a bit unlucky not to beat him in Chepstow. It wasn't that impressive, Dickie Diver, in Chepstow, and he won the last day, so it's hard to take the form literally. Birchdale, I'd probably ride Birchdale, I think.
Thank you. And finally, for Tom, actually, what price did Tom get on Wonder Leash? And how does he rate his chances now?
I got about 12 to 1, and I don't think he's going to run. Unfortunately, I really, really like him. I think he'd have a massive chance in the county hurdle, but I'm not sure all's well in the camp.
Lovely. We're done.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Nigel, it's been an absolute pleasure. This was your first Cheltenham preview. I hope not your last, because you shed lots of light on the 4 days at Cheltenham and your runners and inspirational bets throughout the 4 days. Tom, thank you very much indeed. This is your 15th Cheltenham preview in the last 4 days. AP, you've done a few as well. Thank you very much indeed. Sam, pleasure. It's been fun on the same panel as your dad. Where is the picture?
We're sorting it out.
Well, that's no good. We're about to finish. Anyway, Sam's in the bath. Sam's in the bath, aged 3, sitting behind Oliver's daughter, aged 4. We'll leave the rest to your imagination. Oliver, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy Cheltenham. Good luck. Thank you very much, everyone. And make sure you follow us on Twitter @WillHill. Thank you for tonight, and we'll see you next week.